The Institute of Internal Auditors presents All Things Internal Audit. In this episode, Benito Ybarra speaks with Margaret Pacheco about her experience earning the CIA through the challenge exam. They discuss who the exam is designed for, how it differs from the traditional three-part path, and how the CIA can strengthen credibility for internal audit professionals at every stage of their careers.
Today, we have Margaret Pacheco joining us. Margaret, in addition to being on our professional certifications board, comes to us as a managing director on Protiviti's internal audit and financial advisory practice. Margaret, welcome.
Thank you, Benito.
Yes, is there anything else you'd like to share about yourself?
I'm a managing director at Protiviti. I lead the internal audit practice for Protiviti Canada. I'm also the chair of the IIA Toronto chapter board. And like you mentioned, Benito, I'm a member of the professional certification board since 2021.
Well, great to see you again. Great to have you on the podcast. Thank you for all you do for the profession and for the IIA. So you have a very unique vantage point. You're on the PCB, as mentioned, but you also obtained your CIA through the challenge exam process. So can you tell us a little bit about when you decided to do this and how that process went for you initially?
I qualified originally as a chartered accountant in South Africa back in 2003, and then I obtained my Canadian CPA in 2005. I started my career in external audit, but I moved to internal audit about 15 years ago. And in my profession, I was signing off on internal audit reports against the global internal audit standards. And I felt that obtaining my CIA would give me that additional credibility and knowledge required to be able to do my job effectively. So I did decide in 2020 to do my CIA exam. I learned a little bit about the challenge exam, and I saw that it was actually based on the three-part exam. So same curriculum, same rigor. And because it already recognized the experience and the knowledge that I had from my CPA, I thought would be a good way to obtain my CIA. And it was a great experience. I did the prep material, I did practice exams, and I studied over about 2 months in the evenings and on the weekends because I was working at the time. And then I wrote the exam. I did think it wasn't easy, straightforward, even though I was practicing for a long time. At that stage, I was practicing audit and internal audit for about 20 years. I still had to study. I had to review the questions. I had to understand how the questions are framed. So it was important to spend the time to, learn the material. But it was, it wasn't too difficult, but it was also not easy. I just thought it was well balanced. So I really enjoyed it.
That's good perspective for those that want to take it, but also for those that have took it and passed it in a different way. For instance, myself. So I took this a while back, and so far back that I did it on paper in a university. Very different process, but definitely had to study. Definitely a rigorous process. So, and we really try to ensure that that happens on the challenge exam because one of the questions we most often get is this a shortcut? Is this an easier way to get the CIA? And I always say certainly not, but it sounds like from your perspective, you would agree.
Yeah, definitely.
So as a member of the PCB, you're certainly familiar with the certification programs. Can you describe a little more with regard to how the challenge exam is different than the regular three-part exam?
Yes, Benito, I can. I would say to start off with, a big difference is that it's only one exam. So it's a multiple choice exam. It includes 150 questions and you do it over 3 hours. So that's the biggest difference because you noted earlier, Benito, it's not less rigorous than the three-part exam, right? So it covers all the subject from the three-part exams, but it is designed for experienced professionals who already hold a recognized certification. So it takes into account that candidates already have a strong understanding of many foundational principles given the prior certification and experience. So this exam provides a streamlined pathway to the CIA designation by assessing more core internal audit knowledge in a single exam. But it still covers all the key topics that are part of the three-part exam, like I mentioned, including audit principles, governance, risk management, and controls.
That's good. So, like many auditors, like myself included, we don't really understand what internal audit is until we're doing it. For some reason or another, fall into it or it piques our interest. And we end up doing the job, never really understanding that there could be other opportunities like certifications. So, for those that are potentially in that position or even thinking about changing careers, Tell us about the eligibility pathways. Who can apply and take the challenge exam?
Yeah, so the people that can apply to take the challenge exam are qualified accountants. So if you have your CPA, CA, also CISA holders. You are also able to write the exam if you have a CISA certification. And in addition to that, there's also a pilot that the IIA is holding now. So if you have over 10 years of internal audit experience, you are also able this year to write the challenge exam.
That's right. So it's really a good opportunity for, like I mentioned, for those, professionals that have been doing this for a while, or even some that are in rotation programs that have now gotten an opportunity to be a director or a vice president of audit. So this is a really good opportunity if you've been in your role for a while, 10 or more years, or in a rotational program that's put you in a position of leadership in internal audit, to examine whether or not the CIA is right for you. But again, like Margaret said, it's a limited time opportunity. You have a few months to think about it and actually do it. So I'd obviously encourage you to do that. So going back to your own personal experience, Margaret, so why did you decide to pursue the challenge exam as opposed to the traditional three-part exam?
Because the challenge exam, I felt acknowledges the expertise that I already gained through my other certifications, as well as my professional experience. And also, as you become, more senior in your career, and I did it late in my career, it was also a time commitment consideration as well. So that's the main reason.
So actually getting ready, right? So studying for the exam. Like you said, everybody's at a different point in their career, different parts of the world with different life experiences. What was your experience in studying for the exam, and what kind of advice would you give people that are going to study for this exam to try to pass it?
My experience was actually very good. Like I said, the material was well laid out. I had the practice exams. I did it over about a 2-month period, but it did take time, right? In the evenings and on the weekends to do that. What helped me, because I was working at a time, was to break down, the syllabus into components that were manageable for me, and making sure that I was able to get through the whole material before I wrote the exam. Overall was a great experience.
Was there anything surprising that you encountered with the study material, or taking this journey toward taking the exam?
Not really surprising, Benito, but because I had done it for such a long time, I honestly thought would be easier. I thought, okay, I don't need to study for this, I'll be able to write it. And I'm glad I did take the time to study, because when I was going through the exam, it wasn't as straightforward as I thought it would be.
So you mentioned your qualification as a CPA. How did that help you in preparing for this exam?
Yeah, it helped me because of the core skills that you get as a CPA. Like ethics is similar, like we did audit, right? So around compliance, financial reporting. So those were kind of core knowledge or skills that I already had. So applying it to internal audit, it made it easier. I would also say kind of the rigor of studying for another exam, another designation, it also helped me in preparing for the exam as well.
Yeah, that's good. So do you have any recommendations for those who are currently thinking about it or currently studying for this?
Yeah, I would say if you do have a CSIR or a CPA, I would recommend the challenge exam. But I would also recommend that you do take the time, like I said, to prepare for it, and make sure that you leverage all the resources that are out there, and even leverage your colleagues that have gone through the process and get their input as well. But I think it was a great experience. There is a lot of resources out there. So I would just recommend that you leverage it.
Yeah, I agree completely. So you join over 215,000 people who have had gone on this journey, have a CIA, and have benefited from it. So what has having the CIA meant for your career?
It's meant a lot. That, like I said, I was already practicing internal audit. I was signing off on internal audit reports. So I think from a credibility perspective within my clients, within the organization, my teams, my employer, it brought that level of credibility. Even now in my current role, I do QA assessments. I also sign off on audit reports. So it brings that credibility that you are familiar with the requirements from the institute, the standards, because you are evaluating or signing off on audit reports that they are conducted in accordance with the standards. So it is important, and it brings an additional credibility to anyone.
Yeah, so that last part, let's expand a little bit on the credibility, right? So obviously having taken it and your experience as well, based on what I'm hearing, you feel good about it. You achieve it, right? It's a great milestone. But for those that you work with, and also for employers that you've worked with, what does it mean for them? How does it establish your credibility?
So within our organization, I have found that we work with a lot of different clients and they come from different backgrounds. So being able to demonstrate that you are a specialist on risk and controls and you might not know the business in detail, but you are an expert in your function in internal audit, it brings a level of comfort to the business and it does bring credibility. And for your employer as well, I mean, we have a lot of people from different walks of life doing internal audit, especially now the composition of internal audit departments have changed over time. So you have people from different backgrounds, different professions, but having your CIA, it's a globally recognized designation. So everyone is at the same level set all over the world. So that brings another level of credibility, right? Within your employer and your clients as well.
I think that last piece is extremely important. It's the only globally recognized certification for internal auditors. And yeah, that we have so many pathways, so many ways to do it. Again, it's not a shortcut. It's not an easier way to get it, but it increases the accessibility of the exam, and it allows you to join and lead the great profession that we love being a part of. So, Margaret, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing all of your experiences.
Thank you so much, Benito, for inviting me to be part of this podcast. I would recommend anyone that qualifies to do the challenge exam to go ahead and take the challenge exam. Again, it is the only globally recognized certification, and you can join the over 215,000 CIAs around the world. So thank you.
Earning the CIA usually means 3 separate exams, but it doesn't have to. The CIA Challenge exam is designed for experienced professionals who already hold a CPA, CISA, CISA, or have a background in internal audit. You qualify through one of 3 pathways, including a pilot option for people with 10 plus years of experience. That pilot closes September 30th, 2026, so don't sleep on it. Becker study materials can help you prepare for this exam, and if you're interested, you can find a link to the challenge exam in the show notes. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and rate us. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also catch other episodes on YouTube or at theiia.org. That's THEIIA.org.